Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. How's everybody doing? We are going to have a great show for you today. Are you driving? Are you in your car? How are you listening to us? It's going to be great, folks. We have a great interview. Well, before we talk about what we're going to do, let's go ahead and say good morning, Howard Reynolds. How art thou doing this morning, sir?
And good morning to you. Looks like the tin cans and string have held up, so we're going to have a good show here. And for our friend Harry, who always asks me what the smooth jazz song was this morning, that is Morning in Rio from Earl Clue. Morning in Rio from Earl Clue. And thank you, Harry, for listening.
Hey, folks, don't we always get started in such a nice, as El Senor Reynolds is always playing some nice and sweet jazz to bring us in. Love it, Howard. Love it. I guess Van Weber is off today again. Is that right?
Yeah, we got no Jack today. And I told him, I said, I talked to him yesterday. It's his car is the issue. It's needing repair. So they said it would take a couple of days to get it repaired. So I told him, I said, look, we've missed your wisdom this morning, so you need to call in and let us know your wisdom. So I think he may call in if he doesn't sleep in.
Well, that would be great if he calls in because we love our Van Weber out here. We love our Van Weber. Anyway, folks, we are going to have a great show for you. Title of the show today: Rick Smith on the working class. Coons calls out Mitchell on Hunter. Trump calls equivalence. And if we can get to it, we'll also talk about wages. But anyhow, folks, I want you to remember that there are many ways that you can reach Politics Done Right on KPFT. First of course, is going to our, or rather, turning it down. Us. Good morning, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. So, hey, Howard, we're entirely international with Barcelona, Spain. Oh, it's going to be. Anyway, folks, many ways to get to us. 90.1 FM on the dial. You can, of course, for your store on your phone and download the application, Android Apple Store, and FT, us on your phone alternative. Website, kpft.org. Listen to us. You can listen to us at KPFT code. So let's see what else we. Oh, my signal is a bit choppy. Let's make sure the signal is no longer choppy. I don't know what's happening. Let me know if it's still choppy, but I think I'm seeing the signal in just fine. Anyhow, folks, continuing, you can get to us via. You can watch us live at facebook.com/KPFT Houston, facebook.com/KPFT Houston. And likewise, you can go ahead and listen to us on YouTube by going to politicsdoneright.tv, politicsdoneright.tv. So, folks, as you can see, many different ways to listen to us on this show. I think I got that fixed. I hope we're no longer wonky. It's the sound that's coming over. You know what happens every so often. Anyway, folks.
Every now and then the tin cans and string decide to not work.
Right.
It's a little choppy, and we've got a report here out of the field that they're hearing it the same way. So
okay, well, I am going to.
The limiter is clamping down on you or something.
Oh, okay. I see. I hope it's getting better. Can you hear me clearly now, or I think so? All right.
Pretty clear, yeah.
Yeah, I can look at.
There's a couple. Yeah, go ahead.
I can see the signaling, and the signaling is looking good right now, so I think we're okay. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. I think you're going to love this. I'm going to start the show out with El Senor. What's the name of the person? Rick Smith from the Rick Smith Show. He is known as the working class hero. The working class hero. So let's go ahead and get that started, and we'll be off to a great start. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. Once again, every year now, this is going to be a yearly thing. We're here with the one and only Top 100 talk show in the country, El Senor Rick Smith. How you doing, Rick?
I am good, Egberto. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's over. I guess it's a little bit under a year because the last time we met was in August last year at the Netroots in Pittsburgh. Now it's 1 year. What has happened in that 1 year that merits talking about?
Oh, geez. I mean, what a year we've had. I mean, I'm going to look at the positives.
Yes.
Because I think, Joe Biden has been doing such a great job. We got that infrastructure bill, you got the IRA, you got stuff that is being done. We're now seeing that money that was passed getting out into communities. I drove here from Pennsylvania, so we drove the entire way from central Pennsylvania to Chicago, and all of the construction and all of the time I had to wait in traffic and all of the things that I blame Joe Biden. Joe Biden did that.
But it's bringing jobs, bro.
But it's bringing jobs, and it's going to make our infrastructure better. It's going to make us more competitive. It's going to give us opportunities of the future. This is building and investing in this country where the last guy talked about it. And you know this, Trump talked, it was infrastructure every week. They had such great photos.
Yes.
My favorite is him with the little truck, with the little hard hat and the shovel. Every week was a photo op for infrastructure week, but he never did anything.
Yeah.
And that really was indicative of the entire Trump administration.
Right.
Lots of talk, lots of big talk.
Yes.
Lots of the best talk.
Yes.
The best words.
Yes.
But no action.
Yeah.
Biden, no words. And, look, the guy can't get a sentence out.
Yeah.
But he's doing the work. Jelly Bucket Joe is showing up and showing us that he can get things done.
Now, let me ask you the real question here, though. Now that you started off with Joe Biden and how good the infrastructure bill is working. And it's not only the infrastructure bill that's bringing in jobs. We also have the one that brings
the chips bill.
And that's going to make a huge difference as far. But you know what bugs me about that, Rick?
Do tell.
Well, no, not only that. Let me tell you what. Check this out. We have corporations, capitalist corporations that tell you, let the market take care of all these things. They market overseas. After they market overseas, or rather they build overseas, the supply chain gets screwed because of things that they should have foreseen that they didn't foresee. And now we pay to bring this stuff back to America. Why isn't it the profit motive allows you to take risks?
Man, I am so with you on this, but here's the reality.
Yeah.
If we don't, it doesn't happen.
I agree.
In this moment. And this is where I've had to swallow my pride in this, because I'm with you. Originally, I'm like, why are we giving corporate America money?
Right.
We paid them to leave, and now we're paying them to come back.
Right.
At the end of the day, what I think Biden is doing, and the bigger than just the bills that were passed, is putting us on a different path. We've been through neoliberalism for the last 50 years. Supply side voodoo Reaganomics has been the core of our economic principles for the last 40 years. I think Biden's moving us away from that, back to the old ideals of FDR and an active government investing and spending money to create jobs. I think that's important. And it's a shift of mindset. It's a shift of public policy. It's away from government is the problem to government can be part of the solution.
Now, let me ask you, do you think that's the reason why he went, because a lot of people thought it was a mistake for him to label what we have now Biden?
I'm all in favor of it.
He labeled it because he wants to say this is a new way of doing it. We don't want supply side anymore. And I don't know.
I don't think he did it.
But he has to convince me, first of all, that he is really not going to get away from the neoliberalism. He hasn't convinced me yet,
his Senate record is right there.
Yes.
I mean, the reality is he was the heart of the DLC Clinton era neoliberalism. But as president, what I have seen him do is moving away from that.
And that's what, again, I am, let me tell you, first of all, as a very progressive guy, likely more progressive than you are, I found that I am very happy with, compared to what I expected out of Biden, I'm like extremely happy.
He was my fourth choice. No. Look,
you scare me, man.
No, he was my fourth choice.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was bad. Okay.
No, I look, and I said at the end of the day, he was my fourth choice. He's got through the primaries. He was the president. Now the job was, and this is the job of politics as a whole.
Right.
We are never going to get the perfect candidate. Exactly. We're never going to get. I don't agree with myself 100% of the time.
Oh boy,
how am I going to find a politician?
That is concerning now. That is concerning. All right, that's concerning. But I'm with you.
No, how am I going to find a politician that I'm going to agree with 100% of the time?
Right.
This purity test stuff that we keep throwing out is ridiculous because we end up getting, I'm not going to vote for Hillary.
Right.
So what do we get? We got a maniac.
But
we could have moved Hillary.
Yes. Yes.
So for me, it's you get someone in there who's movable, you get someone in there who's willing to listen, and then you organize people to say, no, you know what? This is what we want. And we've forgotten this in this country. We've got savior mentality.
Right.
When Obama became president, he's the savior. He's going to do all this stuff. He didn't do much of anything because we stopped pushing.
You know, you remember the first thing that occurred with Obama? OFA somehow disappeared. You remember OFA was a big thing.
I was against OFA from the beginning. And I'll tell you why. As a labor guy, the strength that labor has is
you thought it was
people.
Competing with OFA?
Oh, it was absolutely. It was. OFA was created to take those labor activists and internalize them in the campaign.
Right.
So that they could get away from labor. I truly believe that.
Actually believe that.
Because that's whether it was intended or not.
Consequences.
It's what happened.
Well, I mean, I'll give that it's the consequences, but then I'm going to tell you something. I think when Obama went into office, I always talk about there's a president and then there's a presidency. And the presidency has a hell of a lot more pull than the president.
Yeah.
And I think he suffered from the presidency. And also, he suffered from being the first black president and having to. There are things that Biden can get away with and do that Obama just couldn't do. And I know you probably would squirm at that, but I honestly think...
I'm trying to think of what that would look like. Because I'm thinking about all of my listeners in very red communities who Biden can do no right.
Exactly.
So, he tripped over a sandbag.
But it's not about, I'm not talking about Republicans at all.
Okay.
I'm talking about Democrats. I'm talking about Democrats that will give Biden a pass on certain things that wouldn't give Obama a certain pass. We can that's debatable.
I don't want to debate that. But I'm sure it probably is with some.
Right.
For me, I'm a policy guy. My problem with Obama is I shook the man's hand twice.
Right.
He looked me in the eye and said, "Rick, we're going to get the Employee Free Choice Act or something better," and we didn't even discuss it.
Well,
and that's my problem.
We can also say that with the immigration bill, right?
Sure, all of that.
So I mean, there are a lot of things.
That's because we didn't organize enough.
Right, exactly.
That's because we went home.
We had to push them.
That's the reality. I mean, you go back to the FDR years, there were people in the streets. The National Labor Relations Act didn't just happen.
Right.
The National Labor Relations Act was a peace treaty.
Right.
Because workers were tearing this country apart brick by brick because they were hungry.
Right.
Because they were being abused in the workplace because they were being cheated. The reason I love events like this is because these are where the activists are. These are the people who are going to be in the streets. So we need those people in the streets to rile folks up, get them marching, and we got to shut stuff down. You got to shut stuff down. But you got to force politicians who are just tools. They're not saviors. They're not heroes. They're not visionaries. They're tools to get what we, the people, need. And we got to think back like that again.
It's interesting when you mentioned about we fell off after Obama, we looked at him as a savior and think he's going to do everything. Biden, the one thing I can say about the Progressive Caucus and Biden is that behind the scenes, they've been working very, very hard with Biden. And they let Biden know we'll have your back, but you got to have ours too.
Absolutely. And that's how politics works.
Yeah, exactly.
You stop and think about every advancement forward. It was the people pushing it.
Right.
It was the fear of we're going to throw the bums out.
Yeah.
And the Republicans don't fear this anymore. They've gerrymandered things so badly that Republican votes don't matter. Because I know Republicans who are not thrilled with Trump. I know Republicans who aren't thrilled the fact that the Republicans who control the House of Representatives have no idea of how to govern or where to take this country. All they know is division and, hey, look at me. Look how crazy I am. Woohoo! That's what they know.
I mean, it's true, though.
That's it.
It's true. This morning I did my Houston show from a hotel room, man, live. But this caller called in and he said, there's what's his name that's running for the Green Party now. I can't remember.
Oh, Cornel West.
Cornel West, right? And he brought him up, and I said, "Look, I'm going to tell you something about privilege, and this is what I mean about privilege. Those folks who can support Cornel West, it's not that they're bad people, but in a lot of ways, I think you can be a bit short-sighted. And why is that? Because the people are going to hurt the people that can say, well, we're just going to stick it to him.
Yeah.
We'll stick it to him. But the folks that really hurt are the ones who went ahead and they continued to, they went ahead and they voted for Biden because they thought, I have to take the best of the choices that I got here. Well, you did. You took your fourth choice, and I think he got it at the end, but I think what we have to get across is, look, we would love there to be more parties and better choices, but we don't have that.
Right.
And we can't sacrifice those people who, because, look, to be frank, if Trump won, you're fine. Trump won, I'm fine. But there are a group of folks in the ghettos, in my thing, I said the ghettos, the barrios, and Appalachia, and you understand the stereotype there.
Yeah, poor people.
Poor people. They don't get that opportunity. So we are the ones who always have to be looking out for those folks.
On the Green Party front, look, I love the fact that there's somebody out there pushing their agendas. Right. And in a state like Illinois, like where we are, does it matter if 1% of the people vote for the Green Party?
Not there.
But in a swing state like Pennsylvania
or Wisconsin
or Michigan, this is where I'm a big fan of ranked choice voting and runoff voting, whatever you want to call that, so that you can vote your conscience and then vote what's in your best interest.
Right.
That's part of this. But in places where truly before the votes are even cast, we know which the way the state's going. That's great. But I fear, Cornel West is the next Jill Stein, is the next Ralph Nader, in very isolated, small spaces, could play spoiler.
Yeah. No, and
I like Cornel West.
No,
I think I have spoken to Cornel. He's great.
Yeah, I love Cornel, and that's what I was talking to my friend, and I said before I went on air, I said the problem with Cornel is he's smart and all of that. He's smart for a lot of us, but the problem is a lot of. You ever tried to throw Cornel in certain places to talk? They don't understand what the hell he's saying. And it's big.
I'm not allowed to say that.
Why aren't you allowed to say that?
No, that gets me canceled.
We're going to have to stop that bull. You know that, right?
No, I do. And that's a problem with where we are.
To stop that, right?
No. Like, I don't play in a lot of audiences either.
But here's the thing about it. I speak about everybody.
Right.
I don't care if you're white, black, blue, Chinese, or whatever. I'm going to talk about it. That's why I guess I'm a loner, But anyhow.
No. I agree with you, and this is where I'm with you on the fact that we should be having conversations that we're not. We're still at the base.
Right.
We can't get to the apex until we get through all the minutia of the bottom.
But then we also have to have the sacrificial lambs that are going to actually test those waters so that others can defend. When you look at me and tell me, well, you can say that I can't, I'm like, no. If you happen to say it and somebody give you hell, give me a call and I'll say, no, you got the cred.
I ran into this yesterday. Two people were talking in front of me, and one person was trying to make a point, and this other person was of a minority status, and that person took offense by what this other person was saying, and I don't believe that the person who said it was trying to be offensive. They were just inarticulate,
right?
And there wasn't a moment to go, hey, I didn't like what you said. It was cut off and run.
Yeah, and again, that is, that's where somebody like me comes in, right? Because even if you listen to my show in Houston, we get a lot of that, and I like people to be impolite in when they're saying if they think they're impolite. I like people to say what. If people don't start saying what's on the inside, you can never correct what's on you can never correct it. So no, I want people to talk, and I don't. When folks come on, you get a break because you're Rick Smith, and you are rated on the top, the top 5 progressive shows and the top 100, which is the only 5 progressive shows in the top 100. Since you're there, you get a pass. But when people come on my show, and if a white guy come on my show and look at me like, well, I can't say that, I'm gonna say, BS. What is it that you mean, brother?
What I mean is, look, in my community, I live in I grew up in an all-black neighborhood. I was the white kid in the black neighborhood. We played this neat game called Chase the White Kid and beat the crap out of him. And I joke that up until I was 13, I was half black. The other half clearly blue.
Yeah.
Because I was beaten up so much. But I now live in a predominantly white neighborhood of solidly middle class. And in that rural community, Cornel West. I live in central Pennsylvania. Okay. The joke about where I live is.
You're in Appalachia, man.
No, we're in central Pennsylvania. James Carville.
Okay, James Carville.
James Carville said about Pennsylvania, you got Pittsburgh on one end, Philadelphia in the middle, Philadelphia on the other end, and Alabama in the middle. So I'm in the Alabama section. Yeah, okay. They're still fighting the Civil War in my neighborhood in a lot of places.
Yeah. Now, what are you doing to solve that? Because you're the guy
I started doing this radio show.
Okay, good.
I started doing a incredibly progressive, labor-focused, diverse program in the middle of central Pennsylvania 18 years ago.
Commendations on that, brother.
And look, the reality is we have to be able to have these conversations.
Yes.
And understand, rural America, I don't believe that they're outwardly racist. I think that they're painted a lot of that in a lot of ways. And when it's shoved at them, then they recoil and defend.
Look,
I don't think they mean. There's part of me goes, I don't think they outwardly mean to. I just think it's their environment, and the people they surround with. But there's hope there, and I have hope for people.
You and I spoke race the first time we spoke, and you had said something that, you know, I thought about later on, because I looked at you and I said, no, race is a social structure and all these things. And I was given the top level thing, and you were trying to say, no, there are people that you know, that kind of stuff doesn't work with. And I still stick with that method. I still think that, and I'm saying that based on my personal experiences and how I reach country folk, rural folk,
right?
That, you know, they after they break the wall as far as being able to talk to me, I break them down, and they sit down and they're like, you know, I think I never thought about it that way.
No. Once you presented it, and they don't feel they're being attacked.
Right. That's the discussion that you saw with those two, the white chick and the black chick or whoever it was, right? If I were there, I kind of butt into it.
Yeah, I stayed out of that.
I know you stayed out.
Yeah, that's one of those things.
I usually don't. I'm not trying to defend either party. I just try to say, consider this.
Right.
You know, and it generally works.
It was over before I got in here.
Yeah.
I got to know what was going on.
Yeah.
But you're right, and this is where, you know, I think someone like Cornel West, you know, can be a barrier breaker.
Right.
But I think in a lot of communities, and this is probably going to get me canceled now. Thanks, Egberto.
No, it won't get
But
you
in a lot of communities, his appearance is going to be something that's going to be that barrier. And we got to get back. Look, my appearance in a lot of places is a barrier.
Well,
you know, old straight white guy doesn't play in a lot of spaces on the Democratic side.
You know, exactly. And you know, I tell you what an old white guy told me when we went to a Democratic meeting. He looked at me and he said, Egberto, I want to say this. You know me very well. You know who I am. But I can't go up and say that because those black women are going to do X, Y, Z to me. You know what? I looked at him and I said, get your ass up there. Sorry. And say it. And let me tell you, and I'll have your back. And let me tell you why. Because the problem is, and even if you get flack, I don't want to hear about it, because I get a lot of flack in a lot of places that I go to, and I take it and I keep pushing. Yeah. You do the same damn thing.
Take it like a man.
Take it like a man. Oh, wait, that's sexist, man.
Can't do that.
What's wrong? What's wrong? You're sexist.
That is, you know. This is old white guy. Yeah. And this is the problem. And this is where, you know, I've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to be sexist.
Right. No, but we are to some extent, right?
Look, I'm a creature of habit. I'm a creature of where I grew up and the era I grew up in. And I love the fact that we go and we're canceling people from the past who, you know, like somehow we would have been different.
Yeah. No, we wouldn't have been.
No, we would have fallen in line. And look, we benefit right now from the ability to look backwards.
Right.
And I tell this to people all the time about critical race theory.
Right.
I know it's a theory and it's critical and it's about race and we should be afraid and all that. But it's simply history. Yeah. You know, I didn't do it. I wasn't responsible for it. But we should learn from it and go, you know what? They screwed up. Maybe we should learn from it and we not screw up.
And that is why it must be. And they call it critical race theory. That is something that's taught in university. But we should be teaching real history. I mean, let's talk about this, because I'd really like to hear what you have to say. I don't think it's wrong for us to get rid of the myth that Christopher Columbus was a great guy. Do you? And I want your honest answer.
I never thought he was a great guy.
But I did. I grew up learning that he was a great guy. And I'm from Panama.
See, I grew up learning that he was a conqueror.
Yeah.
So, you know, with a conqueror comes
criminality.
Yes, he won. The winners write the history. So you go and you think of all the horrible things that have happened throughout history. Yeah, sure, we whitewashed it to say, hey, the winners were the great ones. What did they do? They slaughtered people.
But what I think is important, and I think even some Democrats don't like the idea of just telling the real history.
And Columbus didn't found America. I mean,
people were here, man. How can
how can you go, hey, can you move over? We're founding this place.
So no, I want Rick, you haven't done anything wrong.
Right? I know I haven't.
No, but and I haven't done anything wrong either. Okay? Our ancestors in different places and different things have done it, and we learned that we should, as we became more humane, as we became more social, we became that it's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, but here's the other part.
Yeah.
I had an aunt who went back and did our family trees. Mm-hmm. And here's what I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Be careful, you may find out you have a little bit of black gene in you.
Probably do. We actually do.
Yeah.
Also, but a lot of Indian. My grandfather's side his mother lived on a reservation,
right,
and they got bounced around. But I know no one in our tree owned anyone.
Right. Oh no! Oh really?
Not in this country.
You're my friend now, then. Okay.
No, and so when we talk about slavery, you go, okay, very few people owned people. Mm-hmm. There are a few people who did really well. Right. I look at Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia. His family owned some folks.
And the Tulsa mayor.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of this stuff where, if we're talking about all of this, maybe we talk about specifics and how to maybe write those in a certain way.
Yeah. But the other thing, Rick, that has to be acknowledged is, and I don't know where you stand on when people talk about privilege and all that kind of stuff, but those things are real.
Sure.
Okay. Because if I guarantee you, I tell you a quick.
I've had negative interactions with police.
Yeah.
I've never been shot.
Right, but it's not only about being shot. The first time a cop treated me nicely, I was going to do my radio show at KPFT, and he stopped me, and I know I was stopped for driving while black because I know I didn't go into that intersection. But he stopped me, and he was very, very nice. And he said, "You know why I stopped you?" "No, I don't." He said, "You shifted in the intersection." I didn't, I'm sure of it. But I was in the wrong neighborhood. I guess.
Shifted?
In other words, I changed lane.
Oh, you changed lanes. Okay.
In the intersection. But he was very nice, and I kept my hands on the steering wheel. I told him, "I'm not moving. I need to go to my back pocket. I'm living my life." That's how I interact with them. And he was smirking as I'm saying that, But he was very respectful and so forth.
Yeah, see, now I have a similar story. Mm-hmm. I was racially profiled a number of times.
Right.
I had a friend who was a policeman on the east side of Cleveland, and if you know anything about Cleveland, Cleveland's a fairly segregated city. Yeah. East side is very, very black neighborhoods. It's all high poverty.
Right.
So 2:00 in the morning, I'm driving, through East Cleveland.
Right.
And the policeman pulls me over. And he walks up to the car, and like you, he goes, "I pulled you over?" I go, "No." He goes, "I just want to know if you're lost."
But that's a racial rule. That was a profiling to protect you.
And that's the difference that really is the difference in privilege.
Right.
He didn't assume I was there for any criminal reason. He thought I was lost.
And he needed to protect you.
Yeah. I mean, so if you want to, that's reality in the world that we're in. Yes. And I understand that.
But I'm going to tell you, Rick, it's your responsibility as this good old white guy to reflect that.
I've said that all the time. When we talk about racial profiling, I tell that story all the time.
Okay, that's great.
Because I've been profiled a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually been positive.
But let me finish my story because it's a quick one. I went ahead and I gave that cop kudos that night on my show. You would not imagine the flack I got for it from progressives. That's what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I said, it's true. Yeah. But you know what? I felt if you give the positive affirmation to folks who are doing their job, it may induce others to do the same. Yeah. And so my thing wasn't, I wanted to take a stance on how, what's going on. I wanted to say, if you are not moving the problem forward, making the problem better forward, what's the point? If you individually do well, as opposed to putting that out there, and maybe other cops would hear. And you know what? Other cops called in and made interesting statements like, well, I don't really do that. But, because what I did is after I left, I turned around and I said, this guy was nice. Let me take a picture with him. Stupid me. I don't know what I was thinking. This guy could have thought, why is he coming around? And, I looked at him, but I put my hands on and said, hey, man, I want to take a picture with you because, and he did it, So, but the thing about it is, I think we have to change the paradigm.
Yep.
And the paradigm is not stay in the status quo. You stay in your silo, I stay in my silo, and we do these things. You got to get away from that. And your voice and our voices, that's what it's all there for.
No, I remember when the whole defund the police thing came up. Mm-hmm. And I said, I got to be honest, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I support the police.
Right.
When they're not wrong.
Right. But the thing about it, and I asked the question, the moniker, the defund the police moniker, you knew the Republicans were going to use it. But that's not what it meant.
But but then it's like anything in politics. If you're explaining, you're losing.
You lose, exactly.
Yeah. And I said from the beginning, I support the police when they're not wrong. When they do things wrong, you have to hold them accountable. Yes. We give them a lot of power. We give them a lot of authority. They have to not abuse that.
Right.
But I think you're right. I think in the times when they are doing their jobs and they are doing it well, you do need to you do need to give them a pat on the back. Everyone, I think that's part of the reason we're having such a hard time recruiting police, and why we're getting, in a lot of places, some of the wrong people.
Yes.
Some of the wrong people are now becoming policemen because we're gonna crack down. We're gonna whatever it seems like we're sending the wrong message.
And I like I said, for me, it's not about ego or any of those things when it comes with dealing with folks now. It's about what can you do to actually make the society better. But here, Rick, we're coming at the closer here, and from the great top 100 guy, I mean, you guys are...
You're rubbing that, aren't you?
I'm rubbing that in, man. Give me a closer, brother.
Look, I think we can make really great strides in the next couple of years. Politically, at the end of the day, it's about us coming together. And I look at this event. There's a lot of energy, a lot of activism here. I'm hoping what comes out of this are people getting back into the streets, talking to friends and neighbors, and bringing us back to the center of the road. We got to get off the sidewalks throwing platitudes and angry talking points at each other. We got to get back into the middle of the road, mix it up, and figure out, as a working class, as a society of people who work for a living, how we're going to move forward, how we're going to make this a better place for our kids, and how we're going to make the future something worth inheriting from our children. So for me, that's why I'm here, why I hope this event is successful, and kind of what we're working towards.
Rick Smith Show, top 100. Thank you so kindly for being
Thank you, Egberto. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
All right, folks, that was the one and only Rick Smith from the Rick Smith Show, the second largest progressive show, I think it is, after Tom Hartman. But anyhow, I see him every year at Netroots. Really like and enjoy shooting the bull with him, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, folks, the number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Howard, are you at the mic? I would love to hear your thoughts about Rick Smith, if you're up to telling me your thoughts on Rick Smith.
I am right here in the control room. He made some very good points. The defund the police, that's just not going to work. When the police do the right thing, that's the good thing. When the police do the wrong thing, that's the horrible thing. So we entrust the police with a lot of power. They know it. And if they respect it and do the right thing, well, they're good. If not, well, sometimes it's good or it's awful. There is no in between. The police that are doing the right thing should be recognized. The police who are doing the wrong thing should be admonished to do the right thing. That's my thought on it this morning.
It's amazing because, like I said, there is that bias from police officers that I don't even debate that issue because I live it right now. When this guy treated me the way he treated me, when you're not expecting the treatment and you get it, it's like, wow. So I went ahead, I took a picture with him, and I wrote out, after getting torn up at KPFT, my great, beautiful, wonderful progressives that called in, and I tried to make my point. I went home and I wrote a long blog about the incident, and the guy's sergeant saw it, and he went ahead and he gave the guy actually got a commendation. So I think that can be a picture for others. Anyway, Ilan, come on in. You're on, Ilan.
Yes. I wanted to tell a little bit more about the film that's about to be shown Saturday and Sunday by the Fix It Healthcare Com and Healthcare for All Texas.
Yes.
First location is right by the North Side High School and the Fiesta store on Quitman. Quitman is right off of North Main, halfway between where North Main crosses 45 and downtown. But at 1050 Quitman is a Carnegie Neighborhood Library. And at 2 o'clock to 4:30 p.m., the film American Hospitals Healing a Broken System will be shown. And it's A great movie about healthcare. And the second showing will be earlier in the afternoon on Sunday. First one was on Saturday. On Sunday, it's going to be at the Bay Area Universal Church, Universal Unitarian Church, and that is in the Clear Lake City area. So if you live east of Hobby Airport, you might want to prefer to go to that one. It's at 17503 El Camino Real in Clear Lake City area at the Bay Area Unitarian Church.
Thank you, Ilan, for letting everybody know, because that's an important show. What's the name of the movie again? It's a screening for
American Hospital Healing a Broken System.
Right, and that's a very important movie. You know, we talk about that on Politics Done Right a whole lot, or screwed up healthcare system. So let's just get this in short. Again, Ilan, on Saturday between 2 o'clock and 4:30, there will be the screening of American Hospital. Please be there. The address at the Universal Unitarian Church is what again?
It's at 1050 Quitman.
And the second one will be in Clear Lake on El Camino Real. What's the address again?
17503, 17,503 at the Universal Unitarian Church.
And Ilan, one other thing. Please give me that website. I don't have it off the top of my head. Is it Healthcare for All Texas? What is it?
Well, I'm sure they mention it on their website, but you can go to Fix It Healthcare and look at the different locations with those 2 dates, the 29th and the 30th.
Great.
It's mentioned there on the Fix It Healthcare. So this is another thing that the Green Party is supporting. They've been promoting for years and years now, is single payer health care.
Right. So, Ilan, I'm going to ask you, first of all, thank you for calling in to remind us that we must remind folks that this is an important movie to see. It'll enlighten us, teach us a whole lot about what's wrong with our system and how to fix it. And please remember, call into these other shows. Ilan, you're doing a great job to make sure that this gets wide coverage. All right, brother?
Okay, I'll try after 8 o'clock calling back again.
Exactly. Thank you very much for doing that, my friend. You have a great... Anything else you want to say before we go to Harry?
Go ahead. Thank you very much, Alberto.
Thank you, Ilan. You have a wonderful day. Let's go get Harry on. Harry, come on in, my brother.
Hello, Alberto. This is Brother Harry. Your birthday, your shared birthday.
Right, we share the same birthday. Yes. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. The day before Malcolm X's birthday. And I'm just honored to be that. I didn't tell you this the other day. On my mother's side, somebody married into. I have to ask my aunt again who it was. Someone married into Malcolm X's family on my mother's side of the family.
Who did they marry?
Yeah, well, somebody on my mother's side of the family married into Malcolm X's family. I have to ask my aunt again. She knows who it was. I have to ask.
Oh, so you come from a radical bunch, brother.
That's right. And the other thing I didn't tell you when I was talking about my father, Harry Dunson Sr., the other day.
Yes.
He was 17 years old and in Turnertown. Before he went to Tuskegee, he met Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King came to his high school because he was going to get ready to go to the Reserve Officers Training Program with ROTC. And I wasn't clear about this. I was talking to my brother about it the other day. When he was at Tuskegee in the late 50s, there was discrimination going on in Alabama. And he was on the council so that blacks could get on the council and be able to vote on the council Tuskegee. He was out there protesting that as he was going through ROTC as an electrical engineer. And as I told you, that he worked on the Vela project, the spy satellites of the nuclear program in the 1960s after when he went into the Air Force.
Well, good man. You have the bona fides, brother. You have the bona fides. Anyway, anything else you want to add with respect to the topic, my brother?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to talk about is I like your yes, Rick Smith. He's right on point with the political arena. But I love Cornel West. I've listened to a lot of his speeches, and I like what he says. He's for poor people. He believes in what Dr. King was about. I will vote for him. I can't vote for Joe. I didn't vote for Joe Biden 4 years ago because Joe Biden, in the past, when he was Senator Joe Biden, he was for not desegregating the schools, and he was against busing. And I lost a lot of respect for Kamala Harris when she ran against him, and she pointed those things out, that he was against that when she was going to Berkeley. So let
me give you another point of view, Harry, and I hope you can listen to me on this one, right? Many people, and Johnny, I'm coming to you next. I respect your vote. Everybody has a right to vote how they want to vote. It's a free country.
Right.
And I really honestly respect what you vote. Let me tell you why, and I was very upset when South Carolina came around and everybody coalesced around Biden, not giving the whole electorate the real debate about true progressivism that Bernie Sanders was going. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate, okay, so I mean, I understand, right? I understand all of that, but here's the kicker. When folks in South Carolina, and specifically black folk in South Carolina, when they looked at the whole repertoire of not only Biden, not only Bernie Sanders, but also the potential of another Trump administration, they have to weigh. And when I say they, I'm talking people in general, have to weigh all the things that can occur. And the question was in their minds, could Bernie or somebody who we know would be better for the policies that would best support most Americans, would they be for that? Would Bernie be able to get over that hump or not? Some people just didn't believe he could. Personally, I thought Bernie would have been able to do it. But you know what? You and I, Harry, we did not make our case. And that's what I try to tell progressives. I take blame. We have to. Here's what I find too often. And I spoke to Rick Smith about this. I don't know if you heard that part of the conversation. It is easy. Right. It is. So here's what I want to say so the audience in general can hear it. You and I will likely do fine whether Trump wins, whether Biden wins, whether whoever wins. But we have a certain privilege. I'm talking about everybody who has X amount of money that they can survive a bad administration. But it's not about us or our feelings. We have to think about the lesser. I don't mean lesser in value. We all have equal value. I'm talking the lesser in mobility of others. And when we weigh all of that, sometimes we must compromise. And that is the reason why I wouldn't vote for Cornel if I think Cornel would actually enable a Trump to come back in, etc. Now, as Rick Smith said, he's a Green Party guy. Rick Smith says, well, you know what? It doesn't make a difference if I'm in New York, or it doesn't make a difference if I'm in California, so I can vote my conscience in California. But if you are in certain locations, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe in voting your conscience because I didn't vote for Hillary in 2016 either because I disagreed with her on a lot of things. One of the main things because she called black people super predators. So that's why, I just couldn't, and I just couldn't vote for her. And then other things that I found out that she lied about. So that's why I just wrote Bernie Sanders in the.
I hear you, brother. I need to go to Johnny, but I'm going to ask you to ponder one thing, Harry. I'm going to ask you to ponder one thing, okay? You just said I didn't vote for Harry. I didn't vote for Hillary because she's. Yeah, let me finish. I didn't vote for Hillary because she said XYZ about black folks, and you are a true progressive and you believe in equality and all of that. But you know who voted for Hillary and said they, huh? You know who voted for Hillary? Right, black folks went ahead and they voted for Hillary. So what I'm telling you is, when you are making your decisions based on, and we shouldn't be making our decisions solely based on things. We shouldn't be making our decisions based on race at all. We should be making decisions based on how it's going to be best for all of us, right?
Oh, let me correct one thing. I'm sorry. I did not vote for Bernie in general. I voted for Joe Stein. That's who I voted for.
Okay.
Bernie did not get the nomination. And one other thing. When we were talking about that mayor, his name is Robert Braxton, who will not. They won't allow him to serve
in Alabama. Yes.
I still got to look. I still got to look up, read that, listen to your podcast on your Apple podcast because you talk about that. I was not able to do that yet, but I will get to that. And,
all right.
Let's see. I guess
I tell you, Harry. Let me get to Johnny because we've been on for a while. Let me get to Johnny, but thank you for calling. We'll stay in touch, okay, brother? Thank you, brother. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
I'd like to hear more of Harry's personal family stories. He sounds interesting. They say everybody's got at least one book in them. I think Harry's got 2 and you've got
3. Well, come on, dude. I've written 5 books now. Don't only give me 3 now.
So that makes up for my -1.
Talk to me, brother. What's up?
Listen, of course, lots of black folk voted for Hillary, but I'd like to see lots of white folk vote for Cornell. Here's my bumper sticker idea for Cornell. What the hell? Why not Cornell?
Hey, let me tell you something, Johnny. I love what you just said. A lot of black folks voted for Hillary. You want to see a lot of white folks vote for Cornell. And the truth of the matter is that if you notice a lot of times when I'm talking to Rick Smith, I will look at Rick and say, and Rick, what are you doing? Rick has the working class, a large working class listener base in rural Pennsylvania. So he is the conduit into enlightening people. And what he did tell me is, Egberto, I'm doing my job. I really am doing it. There's a special way to do it. I'm doing it. We're all trying not to be just right, but we're trying to really make a difference, Johnny.
I follow Rick Smith, and I agree with him almost 100%. Like I agree with you, a little bit more than 100%. But where I did not hear you or him in your conversation with regards to Joe Biden, his reported success, you guys mentioned the infrastructure. I don't have a problem with infrastructure. We desperately need infrastructure. My problem is the way it was financed.
Right.
I brought this up before, and we don't disagree.
Yeah.
I see the way we finance things like rescue packages and infrastructure packages the wrong way. We're doing it the way Republicans like. In other words, we're borrowing money when we should have the money outright to take from the Treasury to pay for it as you go. Republicans always like to say, pay as you go, pay as you go. But they're a bunch of BS artists. They don't do it. They socialize for their own benefit.
Right.
The rest of us have to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. So how does that manifest for us?
You know, Johnny, I think that is, I'm going to say my fault, Rick's fault, our fault. I think you just hit something that we have to do. As much as we're giving credit for the infrastructure bill, we have to give the critique so that the next time around, folks will be more aware of what penalties we paid for passing that bill, because a lot of things got cut to get that infrastructure bill. You're absolutely right on that one, Johnny. And let me jump to Brian because the phone are starting to fill up. Johnny, as usual, you always have good insight, brother.
Just to correct you, I didn't say that it was cut. It was cut. A lot of things were cut. My problem is the way it was financed.
I get you. I really understood what you're saying, sir. I really did. And I just maybe, I did get it. But let me go to Brian, Johnny, and then we'll talk tomorrow or Monday. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Of course I can hear my good friend Brian. How you doing, my brother?
Fine. After you retire, what's your life expectancy?
After I retire, well, it depends, right? Some people 10 years, some people 20 years, some people 1 year, some people die as soon as they retire. It all depends. I don't know what the distribution is right now. I hadn't looked that up.
Yeah, it's about 7 years for a male, 12 years for a female.
Okay.
So let's say you put back $1 million in Social Security. Shouldn't that money be yours?
Well, nobody that I know, even if you amortize it at 7% per year for 50 years, have put $1 million in Social Security. I don't know of that person, and I'm talking about average working class America. And I love the numbers that you just gave, Brian, because that is what a lot of folks on the right, that's the leaders on the right, would like to say. And you and I had a good discussion that I actually blogged last night because I loved that you brought up that issue. And I went ahead and did some numbers on the back of a sheet to do the amortization table because I figured you would have called today. And the reality is, no, sir. Even if they lived 7 years, they would not have put for the disposable income that they have. Even if they just put the amount that Social Security took, that 15% is not 7%, it's 15%, 7 point something for themselves and 7 for the employer. Okay, so I even gave that benefit to them as far as what the employer pays, and it didn't even come close to what they would need in 5 years. So that's what I wanted to say.
No, it's actually 2%. It's an actual 2% growth. So
no, I know, but what I'm saying, I did the amortization at 7% because that's the stock market.
Yeah, if you do invest in the stock market, it's 7%.
Yes, and that's what I assumed.
In Social Security. Well, I don't understand your numbers.
What I'm saying is this, Rick. People make a certain amount of money, right? Let's take you as an example, and I'm not going to ask you to give your salary, but let's take you as an example. If you put away, how much money do you think you could put away a month in Social Security? I mean, a month in savings if you didn't have Social Security?
About $250.
Okay, $250. I'll have to run the. I tell you what. For Monday, I'm going to have the different scenarios for $250. You put in away, and I'm going to show you that is not enough. Okay.
I've already run it. My point is, if you make, let's say, you have $500,000 in Social Security, you've already put that money away. You die 5 years later. Who owns that money? The U.S. government. You have no say-so to say, okay, I want to give it to my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. You have no say-so whatsoever. Those benefits stop. If both you and your wife work, and your husband dies.
You know, actually, that point that you're making, Brian, is correct. Okay, hold on a second. Let me give you your kudos. Kudos, hold on. Brian, we're not fighting here. You're my brother. Brian, we're not fighting. You're my brother. Stop it. All right? All right. Hear me out here. You are correct that if you die and you don't have any dependents, right, like your wife, that money stays into the pot. But that is what insurance is. You see, everybody wants to look at Social Security as a savings account. Social Security is not a savings account. Social Security is an insurance policy. And when you pay for your car insurance to the private companies, if you never get into a wreck, you see none of that money. Is that correct? Oh, Brian left.
Yeah, he left.
Oh, okay. You know, well, let me explain something about what Brian said, because Brian was right when Brian said, you know, if all the dependents die, all the money that got into Social Security is gone. It's not really gone. It's gone to pay other people, and that is because the way some people want to sell Social Security is that it's a savings account. It is not. It's an insurance policy. It's an insurance policy of you living after retirement. That's what it is. So therefore, if you have the good nature of living 30 years after you retire, you will be paid and made whole for 30 years. If you are unlucky and only live 5 years, you'll be paid for 5. And that's why that when you do the amortization, the actuarial tables, you get a certain, they based on what some people live long, some people live short, etc. And this is the amount we're going to collect as this insurance policy, right? So we have to stop looking at it that way. Brian, I'm sorry that you hung up. Again, you have to be able to converse if we are going to hear truths and make progress and not allow the corporatocracy to rip us off. We have to listen and we have to go back and forth so that we have an understanding. That is how it works. I don't have enough time to play my next video, so I will just continue here talking. You want to add anything before I close this thing down, Howard?
No, I think I'm good for the day.
Okay, good.
Just disappointed Jack didn't call in.
I know.
Wisdom for 2 days.
Well, I know Jack is going to be
wisdom.
Yeah,
there's a deficit of wisdom here.
I know Jack will be back. But anyway, folks, let me tell you, we have to look the way we have been spun. Okay, and the other piece that I was going to play had how the Hunters stuff is being spun even by stations that like to deem themselves progressive. So I mean, we have to start looking at things the way they really are, and not the way the corporations and others would like us to believe they are. Which, when they fool us into believing things are a particular way, they can snow us into making the wrong choices. So Social Security isn't you putting money in for taking it out later. That's not what Social Security is. Social Security is an insurance to ensure that you will have a salary, a payment, money to live on, no matter how long you live after retirement. It is that simple. Anybody looking at Social Security as a savings account have completely and entirely missed the ball. You pay into Social Security hoping that you will be able to get monies, live a long time and have money while you're living. Okay, it's nothing more. You don't complain to the insurance company that you've given them tens of thousands of dollars and never had an accident. You don't complain about that high price you pay for home insurance and never use. What you have is a peace of mind that if you need it, it's going to be there. Anyhow, my name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. Thank you very much, Howard, for being in the studio. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this. Baby, I am what? Out!